Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I know I'm not having the headphones, but that's because, in all honesty, the headphones were. I think if the Garfield video told me anything, is that I don't need the headphones, honestly. They're kind of difficult. Like, I don't know, it just kind of felt like they were really super restrictive. Honestly, kind of annoying. So, yeah. Sorry to people who liked the headphones, but I can't really be, yeah. I'm gonna see if it does well without the headphones, and if so, I'm just gonna keep it that way because come on, I feel so more free, wearing a Simpsons shirt, even though this is not a Simpsons video. So, what show am I doing today? Well, today I'm doing Family Matters, the classic sitcom. I'm not really much of a sitcom person. Well, I guess I watch Simpsons and Family Guy, but do they really? You know what I mean? Hopefully, like the classic live-action sitcoms. I've barely seen any of those, so it only feels fair that I try to get properly acquainted with them. And Family Matters is a popular one, and it's all on Disney Plus. So sure, why not? So how is Family Matters season one? Is it good or is it opposite of good? Well, that's what I'm going to be finding out today. So let's get started. Episode 1, The Mama Who Came to Dinner. Carl's mom comes over to his house. Meanwhile, Eddie tries to go to a party. So, what's my overall opinion on this episode? It's a 3 out of 5. Yeah, that's. Okay, so I guess I need to find out a specific way to say this. Well, not bad. This isn't like the best episode ever. It was kind of basic, kind of. I guess the best way to say it is I kind of felt like I was watching a sitcom episode, and I don't mean that in the best way, unfortunately. It was watchable, but didn't really have much memorable moments. It was kind of Wasn't loving it. That being said, it does at least give us a good impression of the family, which I should do. Well, because this is my video. Basically, to describe the family, well, the Winslow family is the main characters. We have Carl, the dad, Harriet, his wife. For the kids, we have eldest son Eddie, who will again try to go to a party in this episode. Then we have the two daughters, Laura and Judy, though Judy can honestly not be in the show and not make much of a difference. Not because Judy's actress was bad, she's obviously a little kid, but you know what? I'm just going to spoiler alert. Judy does pretty much almost nothing for the entirety of the show. You could cut her out and nothing would change. If I'm not mistaken, I think one of the child characters do straight up leave the show at some point. So, which I am honestly, which well, it is wrong. I wouldn't be fully surprised if Judy was the one that was chosen. And in this episode, we meet the final new character, Grandma, who in this episode again properly moves in. I liked the emotional ending. Carl and his mom having a conversation about Carl wanting to be the man of the house, but his grandma, I shouldn't say his grandma, but his mom, who is the grandma, just trying to tell him that trying to respect his boundaries. I don't have a lot to say about this episode though, honestly. It was kind of standard, kind of generic, and I have nothing to really say about it. Episode 2, Two-Income Family. Harriet gets fired after asking for a raise. Meanwhile, Eddie wants new shoes. Even more forgettable. Like, at least last episode, I kind of really liked the ending, but with this one, it's just kind of nothing much to say. I guess seeing Harriet trying to get a job was a little impactful. Like, Harriet standing up for herself at the job interview was nice. And there was the occasional good joke, like like the openings, like the beginning when no one wanted to see Carl doing the taxes. I don't know though. The Eddie B plot's also pretty non-existent. I straight up forgot he even had a B plot in this episode till like the very end because it was around in the first half, but by the second half, it was like it was barely even there. I straight up forgot bro even had a B plot. That's how like useless and not really much there was to it. Another episode. Episode 3, short story. Carl gets upset about the water bill being so high, so he takes action. Meanwhile, Rachel tries putting out a short story. However, the story ends up being about the family. I put them in the script, but I'm saying the family now. Well, see, even when I write things, I can still change it. Now, I said meanwhile like that, like as if these are two separate plots, but honestly, the first part I talked about, the Carl being upset about the water bill, that's the first half. This Rachel sort of story stuff, part of the episode's named after, that's the second half. Hopefully you understand the problem here. Yeah, the episode feels like it's two separate episodes put into one. The Carl water bill stuff doesn't even get an ending, it just stops so we can focus on the short story stuff. And honestly, neither part, since both parts have to take up separate time, feels like neither part really gets enough time to really develop as an episode, so it leaves both plots feeling so underdeveloped. Weakest one so far, unfortunately. Really could not get into this one. Again, it almost kind of feels like it feels Family Guy-esque, and I say Family Guy-esque is a term that's probably been around, and a part of me feels confident I've even said it in a past video. Well, maybe I haven't. Maybe I'm just thinking I did. I'm dumb enough to think I could have said it before. Basically, though, a Family Guy-esque episode is an episode where the plot jumps around like a billion times. Or not a billion times, but an episode where the plot seriously does jump around. And that's really the best way to describe this episode. Were there any good moments here? Well, all the mail being for Grandma was kind of funny. Eddie, when everyone's talking about the short story, and Eddie's like, he wrote me as like the best part. He wrote me so chill. Laura being like, that's the only part that is fiction. That was nice. Also, Eddie trying to ask out some girl, but off screen the boyfriend ends up ruining his plan is kind of funny. I liked that. Doesn't sound funny when I just say it, but if you saw the episode, then maybe you'll like it. Episode 4, Rachel's first date. Carl and Harriet try to get Rachel back into dating, but she's nervous about it. Okay, so this is the first episode where there's just one plot. The first 3 episodes kind of felt the need to add in more stuff, but with this one, they were like, no, we have one plot line, we're just going to see it through, okay? And it worked. I like this episode. It's a 4 out of 5. This is actually a good episode. I like this one. I think it's because it's a real character story. Like, the first 3 episodes kind of just felt... The first 3 episodes, not going to lie, felt sitcom-y. This one, though, they felt confident in their character writing. I haven't said much about Rachel herself, so I'll go more in depth about her. Rachel is Harriet's sister, and she has a little son, Richie, and, well, her husband passed away. And so did Grandma, Carl's mom, who moved in episode 1. Her husband passed away too, so they get to have a really real talk about it. And this is Rachel trying to go back out there. Like, can I do it? Can I really get back into the dating scene? And it's really powerful, and it's so good. It's actually even before this episode, I kind of liked some of the nice speeches the characters had to one another, but this one was the best. And best part is, I found this episode decently entertaining even past that. The ending speech is the real highlight, but there's still other good parts too. Well, like the whole section with Rachel's date waiting downstairs while Rachel tries to put on all these dresses, and Eddie is just so super horrible at doing car tricks. That was entertaining. We also have the beginning when Carl and Harriet just want to have a nice couples date, but Rachel kind of, and acts like the annoying third wheel. That was amusing. A good episode. This is the first. Pretty much like all my shows, unless they're like a 1. I do recommend you go out. You already watch the episodes yourself, but this is the first episode I especially recommend. This one's good, chat. You'll have a good time with this one, unless you don't care about Rachel's plight, which It's kind of messed up. Episode 5, Straight A's. Eddie's report card shows straight A's, but turns out his friend Rodney made it and those grades weren't really his. I have very little to say about this episode. It is a 2 out of 5. Mediocre. This is a mediocre episode. Yeah, especially after last episode being good, you think, oh man, we're gonna get more goods. Nah, mediocre. This feels like an episode not even the people who made the show wanted to make. Like, it feels like the crew were kind of forced. It feels like ABC pushed this episode on them. Like, hey, you need to do a more educational episode. And so they just made it super early into the season's run because this is 22 episodes, only episode 5. And they just forced it on them. So they were just like, okay, I guess we have to make this. It feels so passionless. It feels like I'm watching a really boring after-school special that a better show would parody in it and make fun of. But this is an example of how they actually were. Very little to say. There were only 2 moments that I actually liked in this episode. Harriet's metaphor for Laura and Carl saying, "Don't keep saying that." Like when Eddie tried to confront him. I liked that. Those are the only 2 moments in this episode that really stood out as good. That being said, typically when I give my ratings, when I give something a 3 out of 5, that's okay, I can sit through this, but I'm not gonna go on my way to rewatch it. But when you get into the 2 category, that's when I really start to be like, no, I really don't want to watch this one, you guys. If my family ever decided to watch Family Matters, which they, let's be real, probably don't. Episode 6, Basketball Blues. Carl pushes Eddie to play basketball. Okay, this is actually the first really good episode. 4 out of 5, obviously. Nothing to say. Pretty entertaining episode. I just liked seeing Carl try to push Eddie to be a basketball star was funny, and given that I'd say I personally have a very unique career choice, wanting to make an animated show, I kind of understand with Eddie not wanting to follow the basic path and wanting to do his own thing. Very well executed. I really like this episode. Last episode may have been a bump in the road, but with this and Rachel's first date, the show is showing that it can make some good quality stuff. Episode 7, Body Damage. Carl gets an old police car, which Harriet and Rachel put a dent in. Don't have a ton to say. 4 out of 5. Another perfectly solid episode. Not the funniest thing ever, and the setup is pretty basic, but it's solid and entertaining. And that's all that counts, in my opinion. Good one. Episode 8, Mr. Bad Wrench. Carl tries to DIY making a shower for Grandma. Meanwhile, Richie says his first word. Honestly, another one that's just good with not much to talk about. I guess there is a character that I've been neglecting to mention that I should be talking about now, and that's the character that everyone knows from the show, Steve Urkel. Admittedly, part of this is because I haven't been fully looking at my notes. While I do like making notes for episodes, I also like winging it so you can get a more natural opinion of my thoughts. But yeah, ever since episode 4, ironically the first good episode in my opinion, Steve Urkel has occasionally shown up, so far only in opening bets. He isn't a real part. Steve Urkel becomes Family Matters. He becomes the show. Again, I've never actually, this is my first time watching through these episodes, so I was definitely curious to see when he was established. And already, I can say Steve Urkel has been the funniest character so far, and this episode is no exception. As in Mr. Bad Wrench, Laura just being upset seeing Urkel was really funny. I love Urkel. So far, I love Urkel. Does that change? We'll have to see. Overall, though, this is another solid episode. Seeing Carl trying to do this thing for his grandma was really nice. Just a good episode that I just enjoyed watching. Episode 9, Stakeout. Carl's new partner on the force is a woman who shares the same interests as Carl. And when they go to a stakeout together, Harriet gets worried. I really like this episode because, much like the other better episodes of the show so far, it's a real character thing. Carl, this episode is a really good lesson that guys and girls can just be friends. Especially since Carl's a happily married man. And this, I forgot what her name is. I do apologize. I having to watch 22 episodes is definitely not the definitely can make it difficult to remember certain details. But the girl Carl works with, she's a perfectly nice, kind woman who just so happens to enjoy the same things as Carl. Sure, Harriet gets really worried, but it was proven she really had no need to be like that, and I really like that. This is a really good episode. By the second half, seeing Harriet, Rachel, and even Grandma trying to come in and telling Carl, this is wrong, can't be doing this to her, when really Carl's like, nothing went on. And then seeing all of them have to be involved in this bank heist thing, like had to be involved with these crooks because, Carl is a cop. It's good. This is a really good episode. It's like, I'd say I find Basketball Blues a little funnier, but this one has some heart while still being one of the funnier ones. Definitely making this one of the better ones up to this point. Episode 10, False Arrest. The family loves a show called Buddy Goodrich, so they get upset when Carl tries to arrest him. 4 out of 5. Perfectly good story of a don't meet your heroes type scenario. Uh-oh, the guy who played Buddy Goodrich was actually a jerk. This one's not so much funny, but seeing Carl stand up for what's right is really enjoyable. Definitely enjoyed seeing that. Good episode. I do apologize. With these reviews, I try not to go rambling on and on unless I feel a reason to. In an episode like this, I have nothing else to say. Partially because I'm bad at reviewing, which is literally the whole point of these videos. So, come on, Z-Man, you gotta do better now just because you don't have the headphones, so suddenly you're a big shot. But nah, for real, this is a good episode. In terms of looking through my favorite moments, I do like Urkel exercising with Eddie as an opening bit. That's good. The family being so desperate to watch the show, even here, it's like, Carl, I prefer you more than TV. Carl's just like, okay, fine, you can go. And Harriet just immediately wanting to go to the TV. That was good. And when Buddy Goodrich on TV says the man who tried to arrest me was Carl Winslow, the family being like, that got a good laugh out of me. You also have when Buddy Goodrich's actor came into the house, Rachel looking creepily at him like, I'm Rachel. It's, yeah. God, this is why this is why my family makes fun of me. Also, that stuttering doesn't help either. Episode 11, The Quilt. Laura has a yard sale and sells Grandma's quilt even though she wasn't supposed to. Sadly, although I have been enjoying the past couple of episodes, can't really say too much about this episode. It's 3. Feels like a kind of forced, man, Laura should not have done this type of thing. I haven't really brought up Laura either, so I guess this is the episode like midway through to finally talk more about Laura. Basically, Laura's kind of known throughout the show, at least in season 1, to be like she likes making money. She's a businesswoman like that. This episode tries to give a more human side to her, which I do respect and appreciate, but this episode just wasn't that entertaining, both from a comedy and a story-wise. I just didn't have that much fun watching this one. It felt pretty by the numbers. All right, halfway through, so you know what that means. Pepsi, 0 sugar. Come on, read the whole label. 0 sugar, it's still good, in my opinion. Regular Pepsi's better, though. My family just makes me drink this. Here, you want some Pepsi? Want some? You drink it through the screen. Drink the Pepsi through the screen. And then you can get some. You drinking it? You drinking it? You liking the Pepsi? You like the Pepsi? Man, this is why. How did I get 13 subscribers at the time of recording this? I am so bad. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. Can't take the Lord's name in vain. Episode 12, Laura's first date. Laura wants to go to school. Laura wants to go to the school dance, and 3 guys end up wanting to take her. This is the first time Urkel, who in the first half was mostly just in opening bits, this is Urkel's first real big chance at spotlight. When the writers really started to see something in him and thought, hey, maybe this kid can actually play a bigger role after all. And it works oh so well. This is a really good episode. I like it slightly more than Rachel's first date, which, hey, similar sounding titles, which a little lazy, but I'll forgive it. They're both good episodes. Don't have much to say, honestly. Pretty good episode. Seeing all these different guys trying to go out with her, it's nice. And does teach you good. And this episode has the good lesson of, hey, since Laura's only a little girl, like, is this the right time to be dating? Of course, I've barely had any date experience by being almost 17. I turned 17 in a few days. I still barely get women. Let's move on to the next episode before I cry now, shall I? Yeah, okay, yeah, Z-Man, yeah, you do that. Episode 13, Man's Best Friend. The family want a dog, but Carl doesn't. Soon enough, the tables turn. I don't know, Carl liking the dog was a little cute. 3 out of 5, another by the numbers one. The problem with having a full 22 episode season is that there are some episodes where I can kind of tell they were just made because they had to make like roughly 21 other episodes, so they kind of made this one as a bit of a filler one. Not bad. Like, it's still probably the best of the 3 out of 5 rated episodes, but still not really much to say. I did like the dog hating Urkel, though. Though, to be fair, at this point, I've pretty much cemented how much I really like Urkel as a character. And as you can see, this is when he was starting to get more relevance in the plot themselves. So, excuse me. This is really when Urkel started to become a bigger part of the show. And hey, he's already cemented himself as my favorite character easily, so I'm definitely okay with that. Episode 14, Baker's Dozen. Carl makes tarts for Rachel's book club, which one of her friends loves so much that the family make tarts for big corporations. But they have to make 12,000 of them. Pretty good episode about the family having to learn to come together as a family, guy. Wrong show, but anyways. Yeah, pretty good episode. Very enjoyable. I do think it's a little weird that Carl was talking to Eddie like, the Winslow family tart recipe. Now all of a sudden is willing to just make it for all these corporations. Like, it wasn't the only thing the fathers passed down to sons. How does the whole family know this? Whatever. This is still a pretty good episode. Don't let my nitpicky self ruin it for you. This is a really good one. And the scene with the family having a food fight is really enjoyable. And it is the highlight moment, especially when they throw all the ingredients at Urkel. Because we don't like Urkel, except we secretly love Urkel because he's the best character. We just like making fun of him, though. Episode 15, The Big Reunion. It's Carl's 20-year high school reunion, and he's worried he's too fat to go. So Rachel puts him on a diet. This is a really good story. This episode is about, hey, Carl is a bit chubby, so he needs to do something about it. Carl's always been on the hefty side, so seeing an episode fully address and try to have him go on a diet is funny, while also being sympathetic. And the moral of the story being that, hey, all of Carl's old high school friends are even chubbier than him was a really good twist. And their song at the end was nice. Don't have much else to say other than apparently Grandma's last physical was in 1947. And in one of the earlier episodes, they made a joke about her being around since the Depression. How old is this grandma? Like, this season was made towards like the late 80s, so we have to take that in consideration, of course. But even with that, how old is this grandma? Regardless, episode 16 of The Party. The parents go out, so the kids gotta watch the house. I'm not as into this one. Another 3 out of 5. I just feel so bad for Eddie here. He had to take care of himself and the girls, but everyone starts inviting themselves over, but yet he's still the one to get punished. Even Urkel trying to be a party guy, still pretty good Urkel material, which, I mean, come on, Urkel is one of those characters who is just so naturally funny. This is like a child actor, so all this kid had to do was just be himself, and he still got laughs. That's the sign of an incredible actor, in my opinion. But sadly, not enough to make me like this episode. I still just feel too bad for Eddie, especially when the episode tries to act like he did something really wrong. Well, no, he didn't. He was trying to take everything under control. Still not like bad or anything, but definitely not one I'm gonna personally go back to. Episode 17, The Big Fix. Eddie needs Urkel's help with a midterm, and when he does, he makes Eddie get him a date with Laura. Meanwhile, Carl tries to fix a chair. As much as I like Carl, his whole chair B plot was clearly just filler, which makes me feel kind of bad. But yeah, that's all that part really was. So I have nothing to say on that. But this, for the longest time, I thought Basketball Blues was the best episode. That one was just the funniest. But now I can confidently say The Big Fix is the new best episode. We still have a good amount left. Maybe this changes, but for now, this is my favorite Family Matters episode. It's a 4, but I was so close to giving it a 5. It's a whole episode of Urkel. Urkel's had a crush on Laura ever since one of his first appearances, and now we get to see a full episode on it. It is amazing. I shouldn't say amazing, but it is really good. Almost great, even. I've already made it clear how much I love Urkel, and this episode doesn't change that. Definitely check it out. Episode 18, Sitting Pretty. A bunch of disastrous things happen at the same night. Don't have much to say. Solid episode where each of the family has all this different things they need to do, but it all collapses in one night. All I'll say is that because there's so much going on, some of the plots kind of go to the background. Or I feel like Rachel trying to tell her boyfriend Jeff that she has a son would be better if that whole plot got more attention. But it's fine. Everything works out in the end. Solid episode. I like it. Episode 19, In a Jam. Urkel tries to stop his bully problem. Meanwhile, Carl starts doing traffic reports on TV. Pretty good episode. Both plots are decently enjoyable here. This feels like the first time they properly used the A plot B plot structure. It doesn't just feel like the B plot was just there for filler or anything. See, Urkel is Urkel. That's all I gotta say. And Eddie genuinely standing up for him is nice. And Carl trying to do traffic reports. Apologies. That part was really funny as well. Especially seeing Rachel come up with all these really bad jokes. It was kind of cute, but also, yeah, come on. Episode 20, The Candidate. Eddie runs for class president. Meanwhile, Rachel tries to recycle more. 3 out of 5. These type of episodes where the character tries to be class president are so boring to me. I do not like these types of episodes, if I'm going to be real. They kind of just, some shows could do it well. Oftentimes, it feels kind of boring and standard. Every show has done this type of episode. What does Family Matters really add? Sadly, not much. And the Rachel B plot, sadly, wasn't much better either. It was just kind of there, too. Forgettable episode. Episode 21, Bowl Me Over. The guys and girls argue who's better at bowling. So I like bowling. I really like bowling. Me and my family do it on occasion, and it's fun. This episode is not fun. It's a 1 out of 5. Wow. Yeah, I hate this episode. I hate episodes about gender. Episodes because they're all the same. And it's not gender episodes. They're pretty much gender equality episodes. It's just, oh, hey, the guys think they're so good at this, but oh, of course, the women are obviously better. And it's a whole episode about that. I don't like, as a guy, obviously, having my gender be pretty much just considered a bunch of misogynistic idiots doesn't really help my self-esteem. This compared to Straight A's, which was the mediocre episode this season, that one had less good moments, but this one just annoyed me more on a personal level. Bad episode. I really don't like it. Maybe if you watch it, maybe you'll end up getting something good out of it. But for me, nah, man, this one's a skip one. I recommend just skipping this one on a binge if you're trying to watch through the show. And the 22nd and final episode, rock video. Eddie and his friends try to make a rock video, but Eddie's narcissism gets the better of him. Meanwhile, Carl tries to do the family's taxes. Sadly, taxes plot was pretty filler, but the Eddie plot, Really good. 4 out of 5. We actually do end one of the best episodes. Episode 20 was filler. Episode 21 I hated. This episode I felt like they did that though to save all their power, their energy for this finale. And I'd say it paid off. Sure, it's a basic, Eddie has to learn not be so narcissistic, but I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. Pretty good finale. Definitely recommend this one. And that is all of Family Matters Season 1. Again, with 22 episodes, I definitely didn't have enough time to go super in depth on most of these episodes, which I do apologize for. Again, though, that's kind of what the point of the comments is. If you want me to say more thoughts on a specific scene or a part of an episode, comments are right there, folks. You can kind of just do it there. On to the ranking, though. Sorry, my screen blacked out for a second. I thought something seriously wrong was going to happen to me. Sorry about that. Anyway, but yeah, at the bottom we have, with a 1 out of 5, the worst episode obviously being Buller. Then second to worst of these episodes being out of the top 20, with a 2 out of 5, we have straight A's. Now we get to the 3 out of 5s, which are The Quilt, The Party, Short Story, Two Income Family, The Candidate, The Mama Who Came to Dinner, Man's Best Friend, and then the 4 out of 5s. The 4 out of 5s that missed the top 10 were Mr. Bad Wrench, Body Damage, and Sitting Pretty. Then for the top 5, we have False Arrest, Baker's Dozen, Rachel's First Date, Laura's First Date, The Big Reunion. Then for the top 5, we have Stakeout, Basketball Blues, In a Jam, Rock Video, and The Big Fix. Once again, if there's any episode you think should have been ranked above or below another one, talk to me about it in the comments. Civilly, of course. I don't want it to be a giant rampage down there. But still, I do appreciate you guys watching this video. I'll see you next time. All I'm going to say left is, did I do that?